The future of welfare is going to be a key battleground in the run-up to the next general election. Getting people off benefits and into work is the ambition behind the government's reform agenda, and sanctions, the withdrawal of individual benefits, the tool. But what impact are these changes having? At the Maundy Relief Drop-in Centre in Accrington, volunteers provide help, support and food to some of the poorest residents in the town. Newsnight's filmmaker Nick Blakemore has spent a week there, finding out about their experiences of benefit sanctions.
Maundy Relief, can I help? Hi Keith.
Hey Lucy, okay. I've still got 6 days left on my sanction. I wanted to know if I can get help with food parcels and can you sort of microwave out for me?
I'm not sure we've got a microwave. I can do a slip for you and you can see if we've got one. When did you last get? Ever since we opened in 1998, we've always given out food parcels. Now we're giving out twice, possibly 3 times as many, and of those probably 70% are going to people whose benefits have been sanctioned, so that means they're left without any means of support.
I've got 6 days left.
Right, okay.
And then everything's just back to normal.
Okay. So have you run out of everything?
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Right, okay.
I was wondering if I could have a food parcel.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll sit.
Do we have dinner?
Dinner at 1 o'clock, yeah, we can both stay for dinner.
Yeah.
We are almost like a mini welfare state here, but we're being asked to do more and more. It's forcing people into destitution, and that's the word for it. And we can do what we can here. People, family and friends, but family and friends are often in a similar position themselves. So you can have people sitting in the dark and the cold with no food because there's been some minor infringement of benefits rules, or, in my view, sometimes no infringement at all.
John was sanctioned last October. He says he was told he hadn't been applying for enough jobs.
This was the living room, that was the kitchen there. This is where it's supposed to be doing this work, but I've been living in this for a long time.
The sanctions are about basically saying you're not making enough of an effort to look for work. So, is that not fair?
Really, that fair? I turned around to them and said, well, like I'm 61 now, I had my birthday. I said, there's no jobs for somebody at my age. I said, young people are struggling. So I said, how can you sit there, a young person, 25 years old, and tell me about work? You haven't had the experience I've had. So I said, don't make me laugh. This was a bigger bedroom, but as you can see, it's really damp. I mean, I was living in this, you can imagine breathing that in. I started getting really ill. I ended up in hospital with it, with pneumonia. This was a smaller bedroom, which I found were warmer, easier to keep, to get warm in, and you can see it's not right good. Sometimes when, if I'm really desperate, I'll go and try and do it to shoplifting, which sometimes it can be to miss, you can do it, you might not, it could be too busy or not able to do it, so it's one of them. And you take that risk, you might get caught, but you don't think that when you're doing it, you're just thinking over something to eat mainly,
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. Look after yourself and ring those numbers if need be. All right then. Okay, Jim. See you Monday. Bye. Ma, bye. I'm in crisis.
We see people here with extremely complex needs who suffer from mental health problems, who've been brought up in very, very bad circumstances, who've been in care, who've not had the support at the beginning of their lives that some of us would have expected.
Do you know this law?
Yeah.
Many of those people can move through that and have fulfilled lives, and some can't, and are too damaged, but they're not an attractive group of people to many people. They might be people that you wouldn't want to sit in the same room as, but they're vulnerable.
I forgot to take my job searching.
Yeah.
But I even said to him, I said that I'd obviously bring it in to show him that I have been looking for the work and that.
Yeah.
But they still sanctioned me, and I was meant to be paid today.
Right, and you've not been?
No.
Zach's just been sanctioned. He's 25 and hasn't worked since he was 16.
No, come in here. Yeah, shut that door. Bella, chill out.
There are jobs out there.
Yeah.
You know, so why aren't you applying, or why aren't you getting those jobs? What's going wrong?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. It does. Some like jobs, they're only taking on like certain like qualified people, things like that. I don't have no qualifications. I left school before on my GCSEs and things like that. And but most jobs are for qualified people, and like yeah, I do apply for like even things that you need qualifications for, but it's just I don't know. Obviously there must be better people, like qualified people for it, because I just don't seem to be getting anywhere at all. I've got a son to pay for. Basically, I might not even be able to have Blaze. Breakfast. Eat it up. With the social services, like, obviously I need to have food in, I need to have the gas and electric and things like that, and that's who's basically told me I need a separate bed for my child, and but obviously without being paid, I can't do that. Eat it up.
We know people are really trying hard to get work, and are unsuccessful. There's maybe quite a low-skilled labour pool here. The sort of jobs that people traditionally did aren't available anymore. They don't have the means to travel to another part of the country because they don't have the money to do it or to set themselves up. So there's no sense here that things are picking up.
John had worked all his life until he was made redundant from this meat processing plant 2 years ago.
This is where I worked for 7 or 8 years, on and off. I had a gap in between, and I could always come back, no problem. Good foreman, good boss. We just got told there was work was ceasing, and that was it after that day. There was no more work. It's a big hole in your life when you've worked all them time. You're just lost, you know, through the day. You don't know what to do, you go out of it, but it's not the same. You know.
I want an egg. John, are you having a sandwich?
No, thank you.
That's what my mum's like.
We can't guarantee to the people that we work with that we'll be able to provide that support forever, because we need money to keep us going. Even though we do an awful lot with very, very little, we don't have any guarantees. I can't guarantee that we'll be here in 4 years' time. And so the people that we support are left vulnerable because of our own vulnerability.
Okay.
All right, so I'll see you later. See you, Wendy.
Nadeem Zahawi is a Conservative MP who sits on David Cameron's policy board. And in Salford, we have Debbie Abrahams, a Labour MP who sits on the Work and Pensions Select Committee. And Nadeem Zahawi, how do sanctions get people back into work?
Well, sanctions are a last resort. Even when people are sanctioned, they can appeal it. This isn't a sort of, a sanction that is levied from up top. It is up to the job centre person who's dealing with the individual.
And how does it get them back into work,
well,
do you believe,
what it
does?
is actually, it's very clear to people when they come into the job centre to sign on for job seekers allowance what the deal is, i.e. you've got to look for work. Once you secure a job, you mustn't leave it voluntarily, otherwise there are sanctions.
And once that sanction is imposed, how does it help them get back into work?
Well, it depends on the level of sanction, i.e. whether it's the lowest, the intermediate or higher sanctions. What's been interesting is those on the sort of toughest sanctions.
So let me just make this point. Do sanctions not get back people
back
into work?
Well, there's a very important point here. The people on the toughest sanctions have halved between this year and last year. So people are beginning to change their behaviour. It's really hard, by the way. It's really hard when you're out of work, you're on housing benefit, to wake up in the morning, actually motivate yourself to have a shave, have a bath and get out and look for work. It is really tough. I can tell you because, my family's been there. It makes a difference because when people understand that if you look for work, then you will get your job seekers allowance.
Do you think sanctions will help 25-year-old Zach with his toddler son get a job?
I can't comment on that particular case because I don't know the full case of it. Well, I think we've got the works programme and he should be on that, then he wouldn't be sanctioned. We've got other training programmes. I'm on the Business Select Committee. We were hearing the other day about people being trained into warehousing jobs because if they may not be highly skilled, actually you can train them to work within a warehouse system.
Okay.
So there are opportunities there. Of course, there's also hardship payments there.
Well, let me ask.
There is a net there where housing benefit is not stopped if you make sure that you continue to comply. And there's also hardship payments and budget loans and so on in place.
Let me ask Debbie Abrahams, is it wrong to ask someone to apply for a certain number of jobs and then if they don't, they face a sanction?
The principle of sanctions has always been there. It's been there for over 100 years since
So you
Social
agree with
Security.
sanctions?
The principle is important. I would agree with Nadima in terms of that it should be seen as a last resort, but the evidence that both the Select Committee have taken and also the government's own Social Security Advisory Committee have taken has shown they're not fair, they're not appropriate and they're not proportionate.
I wonder Debbie Abrahams, if you ever worry that the benefit system as it has been enables people to stay on benefits sometimes indefinitely.
I think, again, that is being grossly distorted in the media. If I could just mention in terms of the new sanctions regime introduced in October 2012, between October 2012 and June 2013, 1.53 million people were sanctioned. And we have considerable evidence, not just me as a constituency MP, but as I say, we've taken from across the board, from the Citizens Advice Bureau, from, as I say, the government's own Social Security advisories, to show that they are inappropriate. I had one constituent who'd done everything that was required of him in terms of job seeking. He turned up, he was applying for loads of jobs, he was still sanctioned, and we had a whistleblower, again, who's come forward, a former JCP advisor, who supported the evidence that I had as a constituency MP. And I've since been inundated in terms of what's going on about a sanctions culture within the Work and Pensions Department.
Nadeem Zahawi, you said you have been there. How old were you when your father was on benefits?
I was about to go to university and we lost our home, he lost his business, and actually it's really hard. You end up sort of not wanting to leave the room.
If he had made a minor infringement while he was on benefits, a sanction would have. How would that have impacted?
Well,
your family?
but you've just heard Debbie say it's not a minor infringement. There are explanations you can make if there's
his
a
money
reason.
Stopped, how would he have fed you all?
Well, if there is housing benefit, which
I'm
is still in
asking
place,
you about your
there's
experience.
hardship allowance, which is there. But if there's a reason why someone couldn't turn up to an appointment
you
or couldn't
have,
look at a
you have a
particular
relevant experience. Why don't you share that with people?
And I do, and I absolutely. I think
So
we're doing the right thing.
how would your father have fed you all if his money had been stopped?
Well, I tell you what, the moral outrage is having people actually stuck on benefits. 2 million children living in a household where nobody's worked. 5 million people were stuck on benefits. You know,
Nobody would disagree
Debbie has not
with
explained
that.
why the benefit budget has risen by 62%.
This is about a
Debbie, there's no point
sanctions
speaking
culture.
over me. Let me finish my point. The point I'm trying to make is this is about getting people out of that trap. You know, it is a cruel benefit system that traps people. That is the real difference here. That is what I think we are attempting to do. Matthew Oakley is having an independent review of this. The department with the ministers are looking at how the system is working to make sure that there are no targets, by the way, absolutely no targets for sanctioned people.
I'm going to have to leave you both. Thank you very much. Thank you both very much.